I never thought I'd fall for it again. Not after everything he put me through. But sometimes, the past doesn't knock when it comes back, it just walks right in. It had been nearly a year since we last spoke, a year of silence filled with pain, confusion, and trying to rebuild what little was left of me. And then, out of nowhere, he messaged me. Just 6 words, "I'm sorry. Can we talk, please?" My hands shook as I read the message, heart pounding like it remembered all the things I tried to forget. He was the kind of person who knew exactly what to say. Charming. Soft-spoken. The kind that looks you in the eyes and makes you believe they mean every word. And for a while, I did believe him. I believed that the late-night phone calls, the long drives just to see me smile, and the promises whispered in the dark meant something. But slowly, things started to shift. The warmth turned cold. His words became distant. He started disappearing, emotionally first, then physically. And when he left like it was nothing. No explanation. No closure. Just silence. So why did I respond when he reached out again? Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe I missed the way things used to be. Or maybe, deep down, I still wanted to believe he was capable of change. We agreed to meet at a small cafe we used to visit, the one where we carved our initials under the table like teenagers in love. And when I saw him, it felt like time rewound itself. He looked different, a little more tired, maybe, but his smile was still the same. Familiar. Disarming. He said all the right things. How he'd thought about me every day. How losing me was the biggest mistake of his life. How he'd changed. Grown. He cried. Not in a dramatic way, but quiet tears that made me feel like maybe, just maybe, he really meant it this time. And against my better judgment, I forgave him. I let him in again, not just into my life, but into my heart. For a few weeks, things felt different. He was attentive, present, kind. He asked about my day, remembered the little things, made me feel seen again. I thought we were finally getting it right this time. But then, the patterns started creeping back in. Subtle at first, unanswered texts, sudden mood swings, excuses that didn't add up. I tried to ignore them, giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just stressed. Maybe I was overthinking. But deep down, I felt it. That sinking, sick feeling in my gut. The feeling that I was being played again. And then something happened that changed everything. Something I wasn't ready for, something that made me realize the truth I didn't want to face. That maybe he didn't come back to make things right. Maybe he came back for something else. And now, here I am, sitting in the same place he once begged for forgiveness, wondering if I was just a part of his game all along. Looking back, I don't know if I ignored the red flags or if I just didn't want to see them. When someone you once loved stands in front of you, looking like a broken version of the person you remembered, it's hard not to feel something. He talked about therapy, about cutting off toxic friends, about finding faith again. He told me he wasn't the same man who had walked away. And I wanted to believe him, not because he sounded convincing, but because I needed closure, and maybe a part of me still wanted to believe in second chances. We started spending time together again. Late-night calls turned into long walks. He'd bring me coffee just the way I liked it, remembered stories I'd told him years ago, even brought up dreams we once shared. He told me he wanted to build something real this time. He said he saw a future with me. But sometimes, when he thought I wasn't looking, I'd catch him staring into space, expression unreadable. Other times, he'd flinch at certain questions or change the topic quickly if I asked where he'd been or why he wasn't answering his phone. I kept brushing it off, telling myself I was just being paranoid. But the signs were there. One night, his phone lit up while he was in the kitchen. A name I didn't recognize. A message that disappeared before I could fully read it. He brushed it off, said it was work. But work doesn't usually text at midnight with emojis. I didn't say anything. I told myself I'd wait. Watch. Try to understand what was really going on before jumping to conclusions. But deep inside, I had a feeling something wasn't right, that maybe I wasn't the only one he was saying all these sweet words to. Things started to shift more quickly than I expected. He became harder to read, like there was always something on his mind that he didn't want to say out loud. He'd go quiet during conversations, staring at his phone more than usual, and when I asked simple questions, his answers felt rehearsed, like he'd already prepared them for someone else. One evening, I brought up the future again, the same future he once painted in detail. This time, he hesitated. Smiled awkwardly. Then changed the subject. That's when I knew. Something was off, and I wasn't imagining it. I decided to talk to Maya, my closest friend, the one who had seen me crumble the last time he left. She didn't say "I told you so," but the look in her eyes said enough. You need to be careful, she warned softly. Sometimes people come back not because they've changed, but because they still think they can. Her words haunted me. I started noticing the small lies, where he said he'd be and where he actually was. Once, he claimed to be homesick, but Maya saw him at a restaurant downtown with someone. When I confronted him, he got defensive, twisted it around like I was being too suspicious, too emotional. Gaslighting. The same pattern from before. And then came the biggest red flag. I found an old message thread on my laptop, backed up from his phone when he once synced it during our past relationship. A long conversation with another woman. Emotional, personal, recent. It wasn't just flirting. It was connection. Shared pain. Promises. The same words he used on me. That's when it hit me, maybe I was never the only one. And maybe this whole time, he was trying to heal something in himself by breaking me again. I couldn't sleep that night. I just kept staring at the screen, rereading every message between him and that woman. The way he spoke to her, it was like he had split himself in two, living double lives without flinching. He told her things he never told me, promised her trips, a future, even said he was finally ready to settle down. The worst part? The dates overlapped. While he was sitting across from me, holding my hand and talking about rebuilding trust, he was texting her, telling her she was his piece. I wanted to scream, to cry, to confront him immediately, but something told me to wait. I needed to know the full truth. I started paying closer attention, gathering little pieces, screenshots, receipts, anything that could confirm the pattern I already suspected. Maya helped me piece it together. We found out the woman lived in another city but had visited here twice in the past month. Both times matched days he said he had family emergencies. It wasn't just betrayal. It was manipulation at its worst. Emotional cheating, double timing, lying with a calm face. And I kept asking myself, how many others had there been? The final straw came when I followed my gut and showed up unannounced at his place one evening. My heart was racing the entire drive. I had no plan, just pain and questions boiling inside. I stood outside for a while, staring at the warm glow coming from his window. I could see shadows moving. Voices laughing. A woman's voice. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just some misunderstanding. I was living in a story I thought I'd healed from, only to realize I'd been pulled back into the same trap. And what I saw next changed everything. I stood frozen outside his window, trying to process the sound of her laughter echoing from inside. It wasn't just someone visiting. It was someone comfortable, someone who belonged there. I thought I was prepared for this moment, but the reality hit harder than I expected. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but deep down, I already knew the truth. Still, something told me not to leave, not yet. After a few more minutes, the door opened. He stepped out with her. They looked relaxed, laughing like nothing in the world could touch them. And then, I saw it, her face. The same woman from the messages. But what stopped me cold wasn't her. It was what she was holding. A key. My chest tightened. He'd given her a key. I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. All those times he told me he was trying to rebuild trust, he was building a life with someone else the entire time. But the real twist came just minutes later. As they walked toward her car, I stayed hidden behind the trees, clutching my phone. I was about to leave when her phone rang. She stepped away to answer, and that's when I heard it. My name. Clear as day. Yeah, I'm outside with her. He says she's still obsessed. I don't get it. Why doesn't he just cut her off completely? Her voice was annoyed. Dismissive. And that's when I realized I wasn't just being lied to. I was being played. Together. He wasn't confused or torn between two women. He was controlling the narrative. To me, he played the broken man trying to make things right. To her, I was the problem he couldn't shake. And all the while, he had both of us on strings. My stomach turned as I realized how deep the manipulation went. He wasn't back for love. He was back for control. And somehow, he had convinced both of us to stay wrapped in his version of the truth. I stepped back from the window, heart racing, hands shaking, feeling something stronger than heartbreak. It was rage, but also something deeper, clarity. This wasn't just betrayal. It was emotional abuse. Psychological warfare dressed in sweet words and apologies. And suddenly, I knew I couldn't stay quiet anymore. The next morning, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there in silence, staring at the photo I had secretly snapped of him and her outside his place, her holding the key, both of them laughing. The truth had finally unwrapped itself, ugly and undeniable. And as painful as it was, it gave me power. I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't second-guessing my gut or questioning my worth. I was done being the quiet one. I called him that afternoon, calm and composed. I told him I needed to see him. He agreed instantly, like always, thinking maybe I was still under his spell. He didn't know what was coming. We met at the same cafe where he had begged for forgiveness weeks ago. He smiled when he saw me, slid into the booth across from me like nothing had changed. But I didn't smile back. I pulled out my phone, placed it on the table, and played the recording of her saying my name, calling me obsessed, mocking me. His face dropped. I know everything, I said, my voice steady. Every lie. Every text. Every time you told both of us different stories. He tried to explain, but I didn't let him. You didn't come back because you missed me. You came back because you missed controlling me. His silence said it all. There was nothing left to say. I walked out before he could respond, and for the first time, I felt like I was taking myself back. But just as I reached my car, my phone buzzed. A message. From her. Just 3 words, he lied to me. My hands went cold. I hadn't contacted her. I didn't even know she had my number. But somehow, she knew the truth now too. I opened the message and saw a photo. Him. With another woman. Not me. Not her. Someone else entirely. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't just us. He had been doing this for a long time, with more people than we knew. In that moment, I realized he wasn't just emotionally manipulative. He was dangerous in a quiet, calculated way. And maybe we weren't the only ones who had fallen into his web. What began as a second chance turned out to be the beginning of uncovering something much darker, something that still wasn't over. I sat in my car for a long time after reading her message. The reality of how deep his manipulation ran kept hitting me in waves. It wasn't just a broken relationship or a messy love triangle, it was a pattern. He moved from woman to woman, always with the same soft voice, the same sad eyes, the same apologies. We were all just different chapters in his story, and once he got what he wanted, he flipped the page without looking back. But this time, the ending wasn't his to write. I replied to her, simply saying, "You're not alone." Within a few hours, we were talking on the phone. Her voice shook as she shared her side, how he made her feel seen, special, only to vanish and reappear whenever it suited him. Our stories were almost identical. We both thought we were the one he truly cared about. And now, realizing neither of us were, it finally made sense why everything always felt slightly off. We decided to take control of our own closure. Together, we confronted the other woman in the photo she had sent. Turned out, she had no idea either. He had been stringing her along too. That's when it all came full circle. He wasn't just a heartbreaker, he was a manipulator who thrived on power and secrecy. Once the truth came out, we all cut ties for good. No more second chances. No more falling for the same script. In the weeks that followed, I started to feel lighter. Not instantly, but piece by piece. I found comfort in knowing I wasn't crazy, I wasn't dramatic, and most importantly, I wasn't alone. Emotional manipulation leaves scars that don't always show, but healing starts when we stop blaming ourselves for someone else's games. If you've ever been in a situation where someone made you feel small, confused, or doubted your own reality, just know you're not the problem. Sometimes the people who hurt us most wear the kindest faces. But once the mask falls, it's on us to walk away and never look back. He asked for forgiveness, but what he really wanted was control. I finally see that now. And I hope sharing this true manipulation story helps someone out there find the strength to see the signs, speak up, and save themselves before they get used again. 44.